So today we're going to talk about least common multiple. And so if you remember from back when you were even in grade school or even into 6th, 7th grade, we talked about least common multiple. So if we're asked to find the smallest number that is divisible by each number, and we use 4, 5, and 8 as an example, what you could do is you can multiply 4 and 5 gives us 20, 20 and 8 is 160. And we could take 160 and see that 160 is divisible by 4, 160 is divisible by 5, and 160 is divisible 160 is divisible by 8. So when we do that, you can see that it's obviously divisible by all three. What we can do is it's still not the least common multiple. So what we can do is to get this answer. So we can give you the factors, and we can do factors of 4. So we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44, we'll go that far. And if we go take 5, for example, you get 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and we'll stop there. And then 8, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, for example. Okay? So as you see, we have the different multiples of 4, 5, and 8. Now, a lot of you guys could probably do this in your head and figure out that this is probably going to be 40 because, as you can see here, we have 40 is here, 40 is here, and 40 is here. And this is obviously our least common multiple. So, like I said, a lot of you guys could probably do this in your head and figure out that 4 goes into 40, 5 goes into 40, and 8 goes into 40 as well. So, what we need to know, though, is we call the smallest number that can be divided evenly by each of a group of specified numbers, we call it the least common multiple. So when we find least common multiple, a lot of times we can do this by mental calculations, as in the previous example where we had 4 and 5 and 8. You could probably do that fairly easily by mental calculation, but for the most part, you're probably going to need some type of procedure to do this. So there's a two-step procedure we can do. First thing is to do is we're going to find the prime factorization of each of the numbers. Then once we find the prime factorization, we're actually going to figure out, see what all the numbers are that are, that either we have in common or they're in all the factorization in general. And we're going to take those numbers out and put them into the least common multiple. So I know that sounds a little confusing. Let's just kind of work through this a little bit. So we're going to take the numbers 18, 81, and 500, for example. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to find the prime factorization of each one of these numbers. So let's take 18 for example first. 18 prime factorization is 2 times 3 times 3. Then 81's prime factorization is going to be 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Then 500, albeit a very large number, its prime factorization is going to be 2 times 2 times 5 times 5 times 5. So now that we've found this, what we need to do is figure out what our least common multiple is after looking at the prime factorization. So we can see from 18 and 500, we see that they both have 2 in common. So we see that 500 actually has the greatest amount of 2's, which is 2. So we're going to take those 2's and put them in there. Now we take a look at the other numbers. We see that 18 and 81 have 3 in common. 81 has 4 different times, so we're going to put those in the least common multiple. So 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And the only other factor we have left is 5. And so we have 3 of those. So times 5 times 5 times 5. Now, when we multiply that all out together, what we come up with is 40,500. And 40,500 is going to be our least common multiple of 18, 81, and 500. Okay, so one more example here. We'll take 30, 75, and 80, and we're trying to find the prime factorization and then break it down and find our least common multiple. So the prime factorization of 30 is 2 times 3 times 5. 75, prime factorization is 3 times 5 times 5. And then 80 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Now, once we found those 3 prime factorizations, we look and we see that 30 and 80 have 2 in common, so since there's 4 2's in 80, we're going to put 4 2's in the least common multiple. We see that 30 and 75 both have a 3, so we'll just put 1 3 in there. And then 75 and 80 have 5 in common, and there's 2 5's in 75, so we'll put 5's in there. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 times 5 comes out to 1200 as our least common multiple of 30, 75, and 80. So in lesson 44, we're going to talk about how to adding algebraic fractions. And so in order to prepare for this, we're going to try to find the least common multiple of algebraic expressions. So in this case, we're going to take 15a squared b and 10ab to the third is what we're going to do. So we're going to take these, break them down, just like we did with the previous examples, and try to find the least common multiple of an algebraic expression. So for this case, we're going to take 15a squared b and do as a prime factorization. So we know that 15 can be broken down as 3 times 5, and then we have 2 a's and a b. So 3 times 5 times a times b. And then 10 ab to the third can be broken down as 2 times 5 times 1a and then 3 b's. So just like we did with our previous examples, we're going to see what we have in common and then just take those and put them into the least common multiple. So you see we have at least 1 2 in the 10ab to the third, so we'll put that in there. We have 1 3, and then both 10 and 15a squared b and 10ab to the third both have 5 in common, so we'll put a 5 in there. Then we're going to see that we have both expressions have a in there, so 15a squared b has 2 a's, so we'll put 2 a's in there. And then 10ab to the third has 3 b's, and 15a squared b has only 1 b, so we'll put 3 b's in there. So when we multiply this out, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 5 is 30. We have 2 a's, so a squared, and then 3 b's, b to the third. So the least common multiple of 15a squared b and 10ab to the third is 30a squared b to the third. So we're going to try one more example of finding least common multiple of an algebraic expression. So in this case, we're going to use 4x squared m and 6x cubed m. So what we need to do, once again, is to find the least common multiple, or the prime factorization of these. So 4x squared m can be broken down as 2 times x times m, and 6x cubed m can be broken down as 2 times 3 times x times x times x times m. So now that we've got that, we try to find what our least common multiple is going to be. So both of them have 4 and 6. Both 4 and 6 have 2 in common, so we see that 4x squared m has 2 of them. So we'll put 2 2's down. The 6x cubed m has a 3, so we'll put a 3 there. Now we look and we see that both of them have an x involved. So 6x cubed m has 3 of them, so we'll put 3 x's down, and then both of them share an m. So our final answer is going to be 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 3 is 12, 3 x's, so x cubed m. So our least common multiple of 4x squared m and 6x third x cubed m is going to be 12x cubed m.